It's past the Vazul, baby.
Come on in.
Well, hello, Screamers! Welcome to the Scream Until You Like It podcast. Once again, I say, I hope you're still screaming. I hope you're starting to like it. I'm Clint Xavier today, which is a nod to the movie that we're going to discuss today. And I have Mike's mama, So Socks in Hell, aka Evil Mike, with me today, as always. And down here we have Nicole, and we also have Ryan, because we have some strong opinions on this movie we're getting ready to talk about, which, of course, is The Exorcist Believer. It seems right now we have possession movies on the brain. So I'm hoping that maybe this is the last one that we really cover for a little while, because I don't know how much more of these I could take. Mike, how about you?
I'm pretty much done with them myself. I'm not a possession guy to begin with, and it's like all I've been watching.
Yeah. And that's one of those things that I've kind of found out about these movies. We've got mixed reviews, like online, like people we know either reluctantly admit that they like this movie, or they say that they absolutely hate it and they start dumping on David Gordon Green. So and a lot of people like to do that. So, and I kind of feel like you're either a Blumhouse fan / David Gordon Green fan, or you're not. There doesn't seem to be a lot in between. Like, no. I find that there's two camps who either absolutely love not everything, but a lot of what he's done, or you absolutely hate everything he's done.
But there's people that just like to jump on that I hate, Green bandwagon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've noticed that on the Friday the 13th forums, where everybody likes to dump on some of my favorite Friday the 13th movies.
Like I said, in the group when Halloween Ends came out, some guy wrote, I didn't think it was bad, blah, blah, blah. And like soon as all the shit came out about it, like the same guy posted like a totally different post. It was, that shit sucked. That guy can't make a movie to me. I'm like, I almost want to say, was this not you? Like a screenshot.
That would have been awesome. I wish you could have done that. Some people just like to get in that echo chamber. They step inside, they go, this movie sucks. And they're waiting. This movie sucks. Yeah. So I see a ton of that online, and I do not engage. I hold my own opinions, and I move on. So I just want to say this movie is supposed to be a direct, well, more or less sequel to the original from 1973.
Which also sucked.
Now.
I'm going to say it right now.
Okay.
So everybody knows that movie. That movie fucking sucks, man.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. Mike is not a fan of the OG.
I've never heard Mike talk about this before. Next, he's going to say he doesn't like E.T.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a toss-up of which one sucks more. That's a hard one. But yes, I openly hate The Exorcist. I think it's a dumb movie. I don't think it's scary. I don't see the hype about it. But if you love it, that's great.
Yeah. Well, should we start there? Get everybody's opinion on the original movie and what kind of frame of mind to put them in for this new one. What do you think of that?
Well, I just went, so
Nicole.
Yes.
Tell us how you feel about the OG.
The OG, scariest movie ever made, still gives me nightmares. Saw it when I was 10, scared the shit out of me. Loved it.
And did anything that you love about that movie put you in a mindset to be excited for Believer, or did it make you like apprehensive about, I hope they don't fuck this up?
A little both. I was very excited, extremely excited. But I also knew that it wasn't going to measure up to the original, no matter what they did. But I was excited and looking forward to it.
Okay. But well, what did you want? You want Captain Howdy to come back? I mean, more Ouija boards. What would it have taken for this to live up to the original?
I thought it measured
There's
up.
nothing
It
they
sucked
could
just
have
as much
done.
as the other one.
Bring back William Friedkin to direct it. That's what would have made it amazing.
Oh, it's funny you say that. But I'll move on for the moment.
Okay.
Ryan, how do you feel about the original Exorcist from 1973?
So I think I also was about 10 when I saw it for the first time. I got about halfway through and promptly fell asleep. Now I have grown to appreciate it with age. I do enjoy The Exorcist. I come back to it every now and again. It's a fun watch. Fun being like, I guess, hypothetically fun. It does have its moments. Oddly enough, the creepiest moment for me is the one that was added in later, the spider walk. I don't know. I'm definitely in the camp of I don't get the hype, but it is far from the worst horror movie I've ever seen. It's a perfectly serviceable horror movie. I'm like you, though. I'm not a huge possession guy. So a movie that deals from beginning to end with possession just kind of, you can take it or leave it. So going into David Gordon Green's, I mean, I've seen all the Exorcist movies multiple times. So, I mean, my bar wasn't set super high. It's not the worst Exorcist movie. Maybe. But it's pretty darn close, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, me, believe it or not, the original 73, I only saw it a couple years ago. So, and I thought what was going to happen was the same thing that always happens when I wait decades to see a movie that everybody knows and loves, that I'm going to watch it and be like, what the fuck was the hype all about with that? I don't understand. I've done that so many times with movies that people clearly love. But I really liked it. There was only a couple like points of the story I thought were kind of stupid or hokey, like the Ouija board and all that. I've seen so many shitty Ouija board movies that like they do nothing for me, and I really get annoyed when they're a major plot point. And it definitely was. But despite that, I did enjoy the flow of the story. I felt that they built up to a good, final, showdown. I did like the backstory on Max von Sydow's character and things like that. And I thoroughly enjoyed the ending. So it's like, usually that's where movies like this screw it up for me, is at the ending. And going into this, I was not expecting it to be as good, for sure. And I really feel that it wasn't. But there was a lot of highlights that I really enjoyed about this, and I felt that they made a pretty good go of it. So I'm going to pause right here and just say, if you're watching this and you have not seen Exorcist Believer, we are probably about to spoil the absolute balls out of this movie. So maybe don't watch the rest of what we're going to say until after you've seen the movie. So just putting it out there now. Disclaimer. Don't want to ruin it for you. Turn it off. Go watch it. Come back another time. So anyhow, do we want to break right into this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we get, the very first thing that happens is we get a couple of dogs fighting on a beach. Now, one of the things that I like about that is it feels like foreshadowing. Like typically in movies, animals act strange, when something's about to happen. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to do here. I know at least one of you said that, didn't they do that in the first movie? Yeah. I don't remember that, but I mean, if you say that it happened, I'll have to take your word for it. Where were the dogs in that?
In the original, Max von Sydow was seeing them fighting in Cairo or Iraq. Where he is.
Okay, when he's at the archaeological dig.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's kind of cool. And that's one of the things that, I'll say that Blumhouse seems to do is they they pay pretty close attention to the original movies, and they give you some nice nods to it. And I did spot a couple throughout this. I don't even know if I caught them all. I probably didn't. But we're basically in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and we just see a dude and his pregnant wife. Dude's a photographer, and his wife is assisting him, I guess. I mean, they both have cameras. They're both taking photographs, so I assume they're a team. But the wife is shopping for some things, and she actually makes her way into a shop where a young boy, noticing her condition, asks her to meet somebody, and she has a very nice like ritual, like a blessing ceremony by some old Haitian woman, who just wants to bless her child with some protection thing. And
Harry
that's
Potter
cool.
started the same way. Just
Yeah, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harry Potter
Yeah.
had a protection spell.
Yeah. Not everybody
that-
would want to do that.
How'd that
That's
work
parallel.
out?
I mean, it worked for Harry Potter. I guess it works for this baby too.
So they end up taking pictures in a church. The wife is like, I'm not going up to the tower with you. My feet hurt, and he's like, oh, well, let's just go back. She's like, no, go get your pictures, so they part ways. She goes back to where they're staying and in order to lay down while he continues to take his photos. And there just so happens to be an earthquake devastating to the building. She tries to get out of the building. Building partially collapses, and she's basically trapped inside. Husband freaking out when he realizes that there's an earthquake happening, runs to this apartment that they're staying at, and he gets inside despite the danger, and he finds her basically responsive, and we assume gets her to the hospital. And then he is faced with a choice. The doctors have to explain to him via an interpreter that anything they do to try to save the child will be harmful to the mother. And we have to assume vice versa, because they're basically telling him to make a choice. We can save one. They don't tell you his choice, and then they cut to 13 years later in Percy, Georgia.
Can I just say something really quick about that choice?
Yeah.
We already said we're going to spoil the shit out of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't find out to the end of the movie that he actually chose his wife. And this is one of the issues I have with this movie. I feel there's a lot of potential for some character growth, and it's just kind of set to the wayside. I think it really would have benefited the audience to know the choice he made from the get-go, so that the whole time he's dealing with the possession of his daughter, we know this was a man who didn't even want this child. He wanted to save his wife. And instead, we're just given this twist at the end. Oh, surprise, by the way, he never wanted her. But there's a lot of potential for growth there. Like, we could have had his character, like, there could have been a little bit of that like, he's never presented as a guy who has any resentment towards his daughter, which he clearly doesn't. Like, he's grown to love her. But the fact that the audience isn't aware of the choice that he made, and the fact that he's dealt with this guilt for his entire life until the very, very end of the movie, I just feel is a missed opportunity.
I can kind of see that point. I would kind of disagree with that too, just because the demons lied quite often in the movie, and they just made the statement that she was a child that he didn't want. But if you're in the moment, and I like the fact that they sprung it on us, because it was something that we kind of weren't expecting. It sounds like something a demon would say, but he reacted to it so fiercely that it seemed to be true. He never said that he didn't want the child, and then he does in a few minutes, reaffirm his love for her and that he wants her to come back to him. But when you think about the moment where he had to make the choice, he's making a choice between the woman that he knows and love and the child that he hasn't met. So it's easier, I believe.
I think he does show the guilt throughout the movie. because he is so overprotective. If you notice, like, he doesn't let her go, his first instinct is to not let her go to her friend's house after school to do homework because he's so overprotective. He wants her with him all the time, not just because he loves her, I think, but because he knew his wife wanted her so bad and wanted her protected so bad that he overcompensates.
Actually, yeah, no, that's fair.
He seems to go a little overboard.
I still think I'm right, but I mean, that's fair.
Well, you're not, but that's okay.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Continue.
Mike, any thoughts on that since we focused on it?
I wouldn't say he didn't want her. More like you said, he had a choice thrown on him.
Mm-hmm.
And your wife, who you've known for years, you could almost compare it to like a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like where you never met the baby, you don't know the baby.
You can always try for another one.
Child with your wife.
Yep.
So I get the choice. And I don't know. I think he felt regret. I mean, he obviously lost his faith in God. He was like, he was kind of a miserable dick the whole movie. Even before the daughter was lost, he was.
I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
It wouldn't be a possession movie if somebody didn't lose their faith.
Exactly.
Right. That does seem to happen quite often, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So yeah, we got dad and daughter. So we know, we just assume what his choice was, even though it turns out not to be correct. That she made it and the mother did not. They're basically having breakfast, and she doesn't want the bacon because she saw a documentary on animal cruelty. And he's like, you see one documentary, and now you don't want to eat breakfast. So this is where she drops a story on him that she wants to study with her friend after school, and he immediately pushes back, like he doesn't want to do it. They go outside. He questions her about a scarf that she's holding, and she lies about it. He catches her in it. He's like, come on, it's your mom's stuff. And he takes it from her. They go to get the car. He immediately gets yelled at by his nosy neighbor who wants him to take his trash cans back in. And he doesn't say it, but like written on his face, I can basically see, go fuck yourself. And he gets in the car and they leave. So and does the nice little fuck you wave when he drives by, which is cool. I love those. I do them all the time. So I thought it was interesting that when she's sitting in class, oh wait, I forgot to say, he gives her permission, basically, go study with your friend, be home by dinner, when he drops her off at school. And I found it interesting when she's sitting in class, I love how in movies sometimes they put things that are semi-relevant in the classrooms whenever they're kind of doing that, like they did it in like a couple of the Halloween movies and so forth, kind of like, I don't know, along the same subject matter or a nod to it or foreshadowing of something that's about to happen. This movie, they were sitting in class, and I don't know if you caught the audio, but they were listening to Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Because I caught key words,
yes.
Like chamber door and Lenore and times of yore. And I was like, oh, fuck, they're listening to The Raven. I wonder if that's significant. I guess to a degree, you could draw some parallels. Any thoughts on that?
I like that they put it in there.
My only understanding of the Raven is from the Treehouse of Horror episode of The Simpsons.
Okay.
So I don't feel unqualified to have any opinion.
You are.
That's fair. Similar. It was just Homer reciting it, but I mean, that's fair.
I mean, The Raven is about a guy pining over his a wife that he lost, or a girlfriend, and the guy lost his wife in Haiti.
Yep.
So I mean, there's those parallels.
Yeah.
So with The Raven reminding the man of his lost love, Lenore, is shoot, I can't remember her name. The daughter, what's her name?
Angela.
Is Angela the Raven in this case?
That's possible. That's a nice thought. Because she's the constant reminder of what he lost.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, according to the poem, you know, the raven will never leave. Which I think is, that's nice. That's a good thought. Thank you for that. I didn't think of it myself. Look at that.
This is getting deep.
I know. So here's the part that kind of lost me. I don't know where the kids got their idea for this, what study they made to do it, you know, what made them think that taking an article of clothing and a picture of somebody that you're trying to contact and hypnotizing yourselves in a underground, what looks like drainage pit in the woods, how that was going to work in order to speak with the dead. I mean, I don't know if this was hypnotism. I don't know if this was like some attempt at a seance. It was very vague, but it looked like hypnotism to me. What did it look like to you?
No, definitely more hypnotism than like a seance. But right from this point on until everything is vague. This is like one of my issues of this movie.
Okay.
They don't tell you where they went. They don't tell you what happened. They don't tell you know. I would have liked to see like as it happened, like something attaching to them, but you don't hear nothing of them until fucking Goober finds them in the shed.
Yeah. It would have been nice to get a little bit of extra, you know, like maybe something that they fucked up, you know what I mean, where they made a mistake.
We got more in this than we ever got in the original.
Right. All we got was some dialogue in the original.
Something about Captain Howdy, and she does a Ouija with her mom for like 30 seconds. Next thing you know, she's masturbating with a crucifix and speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Like this movie, at least, I can't believe I'm fucking defending this movie. This movie at least tried to establish that they were like dabbling in stuff that maybe they shouldn't be.
Yeah. It didn't really feel like a dark art to me is what I'm getting at. It felt like hypnotism. And like every time I've ever seen or heard anybody mention hypnotism before, it's always been something relatively safe. You know, but it's like a key word, but it's almost like they both got hypnotized at the same time when one was trying to assist the other. But their goal was to call out beyond the ether and try to speak with a soul on the other side. So yeah, that was a little muddy for me. I wasn't quite buying the method, but I'll just have to take it on. Hey, it's an exorcism movie. You got to have some reason for why somebody gets possessed. Nicole, you look like you got something to say about this. Go for it.
I always have something to say when I'm right and you're wrong.
Oh boy.
I think the original, like you said, we only got a little bit of dialogue. Captain Howdy. The Ouija is a door. They opened a doorway. Captain Howdy, as he presented himself, obviously it was a demon, came through that door. That's how she got possessed. She opened that fucking door with that Ouija board. In this one, I believe it was a seance. We saw Catherine with it would look like a locket or a pendant or something, swinging it. Yeah. I think they were having a seance and they needed something personal, which is why she took the scarf and they opened that door to let these demons in.
That's how I took it too, is that it was a seance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they were trying to communicate. I don't know if it was with her mother or.
Yeah, I think she was trying to talk to her mother.
Yeah, but I mean, that's classic Demon 101.
Yeah, she said that when she finally got home and she was in bed and the father said, "What were you doing out there?" I was trying to talk to mom.
Yeah.
And that's classic Demon 101. Someone opens the door and the demon sneaks through.
Yep. Exactly.
The entire Insidious franchise hangs on that.
True.
Exactly.
But with that particular method, I almost feel like you need somebody who is sensitive to it or spiritually enlightened of some sort. Like there's somebody who has the ability to speak to the other side, and they're the ones putting you in contact with it. You know, I typically don't see people doing it themselves.
But both of those girls were equally vulnerable because neither had been baptized.
And
that gets brought up.
It does get brought up. I immediately rejected it because the mother said it. And they're just those pious religious types. You know what I mean? Which is exactly why I didn't like them.
Reagan was not baptized either.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm safe then. That happened when I was like 18 years old.
No one is safe, but it helps. Again, this is my opinion. I'm just
okay.
Yeah,
I got you. Yeah. So that's really all I got to say about that. That was kind of like, to me, I felt that was clunky, but I accepted it for the purposes of the story and moved on. I don't know if there was anything significant about the place where they performed that, but it certainly became significant throughout the rest of the movie.
Yes. They did not explain that well.
No.
As to why they were in that. I understand they needed to go to a place where they wouldn't get caught by their parents.
Yeah.
So they just took off into the wooded area, but there was no reasoning for them being in like a drainage sewer or wherever they were. Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't make a ton of sense to me.
No.
I
agree with you with that.
But
that could just be kids being kids, though.
Yeah.
I mean, despite the fact that these girls are clearly played by, 15, 16-year-olds?
Yeah.
They are supposed to be like 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. Just why would you like descend down into a pit that looks like it could be the doorway to the underworld? You know what I mean?
I mean, you want to talk to people in the afterlife. You want to kind of go somewhere that looks like dead.
Like you couldn't just go sit on a friggin' log.
Yeah.
I mean, back in my day, we just went to the cemetery. But you want to go into a drainage ditch. More power to you.
Yeah.
Probably smells like that.
Yeah.
It could have just been them exploring, like you said, kids being kids, girls being girls. Like they could have just, been looking for a good place to sit and found it,
Yeah. Some folks may want to go to a higher place, you know what I mean? Where they're elevated, where they might want to be, if their idea of heaven is up there, I mean, they might want to be closer to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. I was a kid once. I probably would have done the same damn thing.
Yep.
Because it looked cool.
Yeah.
So dad still takes pictures, family portraits. He sits there and grins and bears it. You could tell he absolutely hates his freaking job. Getting all these kids running around and dad's trying to control their kids and all that nonsense. And he has to lie to him, say, "Oh, I'm getting good stuff. It looks great." He's sitting there trying to edit the photos when it's all over. And next thing, you got the flickering with the lights. There's always electrical disturbances. So I think this was maybe at the moment something happened to his kid. And he wouldn't have been aware of it. It's just like, oh, something's up with the lights. Looks at his laptop, squiggly lines all over his photos. Oh, that's kind of fucked up. Then he says, all right, that's enough. He closes the laptop. And I just have an issue with that. I'm like, who the hell shuts down their laptop like that? I mean, I will save whatever it is I'm working on. I will close programs. If I think there's something wrong with it, I'm going to reboot it. You know what I mean? He's just like, nope, bloop, done. Freaking psycho. Why would you do that? Do you close your laptop like that?
I'm feeling personally attacked here.
I'm asking. Do you close your laptop like that?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't. I close all the programs and
I do too. Shut everything down.
But at
Closing
work,
the laptop does all that.
But at work, I just hit the power button because the IT guy's like, "Don't ever just hit power. Just shut everything down." He goes, "It's like giving the computer a heart attack." So being that it's work, I do it every fucking time.
Good for you. Stick it to the man, Mike.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But my personal, I shut all the programs and shut it down the correct way.
Right. Well, it's like there is a certain amount of backups like in a computer that happens. But, anytime you close a program without saving something, it throws up a notification and yells at you, "Hey, your work could be lost if you do this."
You got to make sure all those porn sites are closed, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Your download might fail. So anyhow, I take personal issue with that. Maybe there's no problem with it. I'm not an IT guy, but there it is.
And we do see a demon face in one of the shutter clicks as he's taking the pictures of this family. And
Really?
this is the third time I've watched the movie, and it was the first time I caught it. We actually see a quick demon
Okay,
when
you
he's making
do,
the
don't
biscuit.
you? See, I wasn't sure. I saw something.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, I
Wow.
must have just seen the squiggly lined.
No,
know.
there was a face when he clicked the shutter. Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
That's interesting.
That had me pop out of my chair. Yeah.
I
Huh.
watched that scene a couple times thinking I saw something, but I couldn't. I'll have to go again,
Yeah.
knowing now that there is.
Yep.
But
It's at like
I
the
watched it a
16-minute
couple
mark.
times because I thought I did, but I could never catch it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the dad does seem to experience a lot of odd phenomena by himself.
Hmm.
And I feel that kind of goes along with something he says a little bit later when he's talking to the parents of Catherine, where he just explains, he's like, my daughter and I are spiritually connected.
Yeah, we're close. We're
He's
tight.
like, we're very close. He's like, this isn't like her. And that kind of feels like, well, maybe they are. Maybe they're linked in some way, that he's sensitive to whatever's happening to her.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they didn't go like super off the deep end with that,
Yeah.
and like kind of make him like psychic or some stupid shit like that. I'm glad they kind of left it there, but that's interesting. Nice catch. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the shutter click. So yeah, when he gets home and he realizes that his little girl didn't do what he said to get home by dinner, he's super confused by it. He doesn't even get angry. He's like, what's going on? So he's digging around. He digs up a school directory, which I guess has some parents' phone numbers in it or something like that. And he just starts calling who he thinks is connected. He ends up talking to Catherine's parents, and find out that through other phone calls that she didn't go to where she was saying she was going to go. Neither of them did.
Hmm.
And that was actually done pretty well, I thought, because it's like most movies are, kind of lazy with that stuff. But like, that's actually stuff like a kid would do.
The old
like,
switcheroo.
I'm going to your house and you're going to mine.
Yeah, you're going to my house, or we're going to this person's house. If
Uh-huh.
anybody asks, and everybody's story is like watertight.
Yeah.
No,
Because we've
See, to me,
never
that
done
always-
that.
Well, see, here's the thing. To me, that always seemed like such a. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm alone on this. Like, if my daughter's going to someone's house after school, I've connected with the parents via
That's
text
good.
message or a quick phone call. Like,
I
we've
agree.
always touched base. So
Yeah.
I feel this plan would fail before it even got a chance to start.
That is something that bothered me a little, because as overprotective as he is, you would think he would double check with the parents. He heard about it from the kid, but he didn't talk to the parents about it.
He doesn't even know who the parents are because the dude
Yeah.
was honking at him.
Yeah, they were in
Well, they were in
the
the-
drop-off
the-
line.
Yeah, and he didn't even realize it was his daughter's friend's parents.
yeah.
So it wasn't like they were sleeping away overnight, though.
Right.
So
Oh.
that's why it probably was a little less. They were only
Right.
supposed
But
to
his
study
he was
together
so
after school for a
overly-
few hours.
I'm not a super protective parent, and at the very least, if my daughter's hanging out with a new friend, I'll drop her off there and introduce myself to the parents.
Yeah.
But
Yep,
I,
I know.
I am one of those overprotective.
Yeah. I would do
I
that.
had
I've
everybody's
tried
number in my phone. Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say hi to them and be like, okay, you guys don't seem like serial killers. Here's my daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't let her play with any guns. And I'll be back later.
don't let her go into the woods to do any seances.
Yeah.
Yep. I would
Yeah,
have their
exactly.
addresses, so I know what kind of, what part of the neighborhood they lived in, and if, I should
Yeah.
be extra cautious. And yeah,
Yeah.
So no, you're absolutely right. Like, especially for an overprotective dad like him, it doesn't
it doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's-
sense that
that's
he
pretty
wouldn't at
big
least talk to them.
bottle.
Yeah.
But I guess the movie's got a movie, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. They end up finding out they walked off into these woods from another kid who's part of their lie. And they take off, the dad, Victor, and the parents of Catherine into the woods looking for them. We find out that they went ahead and started that before the cops even arrived. They called the police to help look. They did not find them, but the dad, just having that sense about him, did kind of zero in on this drainage thing, and found the item that they were using for the hypnotic trance or seance or whatever you want to call it,
And their shoes.
which is disturbing to say the least. It's like,
Yeah.
it's that would be dumbfounding. It's like you don't find your kid, but you find her shoes. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, your brain's gonna be going a mile a minute trying to think what the hell just happened to my kid.
My first thought would be struggle. There was
yeah.
a struggle and she lost her shoes.
The police are actually coming up with some pretty good ideas for how to look for the kids. They know that these woods are pretty close to where some vagrants or some homeless, or I forget what they called them. Transients, dwellingly challenged. I don't know what they were saying. At any rate, it's a community of homeless people basically around there, and they're starting to talk to like homeless people. Dad doesn't think they're doing enough with that, so he goes and he hangs out at the local soup kitchen and starts talking to a few of them. All that gets him is enraged and upset, thinking about things that could have happened to his daughter and having it hinted at by homeless people in the field. Dude downright flips the table and walks out.
He's
like
a better
Billy
person than
Joel.
I was. I would have broke his neck.
But at the same time, like, these are homeless people. These people have mental illness. What were you hoping for?
Yeah, what kind of answers were you looking for?
He was probably just hoping for anything that would point him in the right direction.
Exactly. When you're a parent and your kid's missing, you're going to talk to anybody you can.
And he just couldn't handle what he heard.
No. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Like these guys, first of all, like they're mental, and they live on. Even if they're not mental, they live. Look at their lifestyle. They're not going to use any filter. They're going to tell you.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like crossing a freeway at rush hour and then getting pissed because a car hits you.
Yeah.
I like that analogy. That's good.
Buddy. But I get it. No, I get it. Like he's grasping at straws and the table flipping. Yes, he was pissed off at what the guy said, but this is also a dad who's just he doesn't know, like doesn't know what else to do. He's already reaching at straws and he's frustrated.
Yeah, he's barely holding it together. I mean, and I feel like that was a good way of representing that. Yeah. That he's doing a very good job of not showing the world the emotions, the whirlwind of emotions he's feeling inside, but he lets it go for that moment when he just completely loses control and walks out.
And we can all understand that. We all have kids. We can all know what it's like to have your kid missing.
Yeah. I felt his character was written really well. Like
it was.
My daughter got lost at a Chinese buffet for like 5 minutes, and I was ready to fucking burn that place to the ground.
Yep. Kmart.
Yeah. Well, it was a Chinese buffet, so it was probably already 5 minutes from burning to the ground. From the last rat that caught on fire, by their gas stove.
This is Canadian Chinese food, man. It's on a whole nother level from yours.
So it's they have standards and health codes.
That's right. We'll go with that. So his day didn't get any better. He comes home, find a bunch of fucking people at his house.
I would have had a stroke.
Oh my Lord. He's got neighbors in there. He's got some, weird woman doing some chants and blessing, his daughter's bedroom. And they're trying to explain it to him. And he's like, I ain't hearing that. He's like, you got to get everybody out of here right now. And like you could tell that he's just moments from absolutely losing his shit. And he hurries up, he gets him out. Dude tries to explain, hey, and he says the word that I hate the most. You may as well have called him an asshole. He called him pal. I hate that word so much. I got to tell you, like, if somebody writes pal in an email, I feel like they called me an asshole. You know what I mean? It's like, it never comes off well. I don't care if it's meant well. I mean, he's like, hey, look, pal. He's like, look, pal, we were just trying to help. He's like, get the fuck out of here. And he shuts the door in his face.
It's
like,
true. I never thought about it, but it's true. Like if you say, listen, pal, hey, pal, it sounds like you're being a dick.
Yeah,
it definitely does.
So I don't know how that comes across in Canada, but I have to tell you, in America, it sounds like you're being an asshole to somebody.
Yeah,
we don't say pal so much; we say buddy a lot. Like, hey, buddy.
Okay. I've had my own issues with buddy. It just depends who's saying it and how they said it. You know what I mean? If I don't know you and you call me buddy, I immediately have a problem with it.
Oh shit! Well, yeah, you really fucking hate Canada.
Yeah, buddy. Like I don't fucking know.
Like that. South Park is making that joke for a reason. We say that all the fucking time.
I got you. Yeah, it's just one of those things. like another one of those pet peeve phrases, with all due respect.
I fucking hate that one.
You say that right before you disrespect somebody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you were going to go at somebody with respect, you would say with respect, right? You wouldn't say with all due respect. It's like, well, whatever respect you warrant.
Whatever comment is
we'll go
following
with
is
that.
is
with this
coming with no
comment.
respect at all.
Yeah. So anyhow, pet peeve city. You just landed on it with me. Okay. So yeah, I felt he was.
Sorry, really quick before we get off this. Who, like, I get that the Haitian priestess was in there, and I think the neighbor brought her over.
Okay.
Who is the neighbor though? Like, is he? Why does he know her? What's the deal with that? I couldn't
He
figure
goes
that
to
out.
the
like
gym
Tom
with the
Arnold?
dad.
He's what?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, oh, Tom Arnold's in this movie. He goes to the
Tom
gym
Arnold.
with his dad.
Yeah,
Goes
but
to
why
the
does he
gym?
know the Haitian priestess?
Because he lost it was his brother or his wife's
Okay.
brother, and they used her to try and find them. He explained it briefly.
Okay, yeah, no, I
Oh.
watched
Yeah.
it twice and I missed that both times. I'm like, there's
Oh,
got to be
okay.
a reason why he knows this lady.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
he used her to help find somebody in his family.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Okay.
Her name
So-
was Roseanne.
Oh. Okay.
I'm
Her name's
kidding.
what?
I was kidding. I said her name was Roseanne because he looked like Tom
Oh.
Arnold.
Oh, I got you.
Roseanne's a lot of things, but I don't think she's a Haitian.
Yeah. Very good. So yeah, I felt the dad was very polite even when he was telling them to get the fuck out.
Mhm.
So kids are found huddled in a barn. I don't know what went on with those farmers and their horse. It almost looked like that horse was dead. They were trying to strap it to a tractor to go bury it. You know what I mean? Kid goes into the barn, finds a couple of random like kids in there. He's like, Dad! You know?
There's kids in the barn again.
Yeah.
Again.
Paul!
Call the exterminator. So yeah, we got another child infestation. So yeah. So they end up at the hospital. Understandably, dad freaks out and drives his car there like a maniac just to be with his daughter and trying to find out what happened. And they make it very clear with just a couple of sentences that they had no idea how long they were gone. They thought they were only gone for a few hours. And he's like, babe, you've been gone for 3 days. And it's amazing that he didn't lose
Like
his cool
Jesus.
just seeing her. Yeah, exactly. And they kind of did that later in the movie too, where they talked about, Jesus dying, coming back after 3 days. The kids left. They assume walked
Did
in
they bring that
hell.
up later? Damn it, I thought I
They
was
did.
the original.
No,
Yeah,
it was the mother. It was Catherine's mother who brought that up.
Yeah, she said, where did Jesus go after he was crucified? He went into hell for 3 days.
Oh, wait, yeah, I remember that now. Fucking
Yeah.
here, I thought I was being clever.
No, you're doing all right. You're doing all right because I feel like a lot of us had similar thoughts. So they both forgotten events that happened, and as a precaution, I felt that this was kind of realistic in a sense. They performed rape kits on these little girls, basically just in case something happened to them, to get a little bit more evidence, a little bit more of the story about what happened when they were gone. And having that on file is a good thing, especially if they did find something, and they end up finding someone to whom they might be able to make accountable for it later. So this felt like, even though it was difficult, it felt like a reasonable response, to some folks who didn't know where they'd been for 3 days, in an area that they were last seen amongst transients, who may have drugs, who may drug you, lure you places, do things to you. This seemed reasonable to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucked up about that, but
No.
it seemed like it was. You find out their feet were really beat to shit, and they
they lost their shoes.
Yeah. And they had walked somewhere around 30 miles. And we get that, basically because they said it later, but I think because of where the location of the barn was, where they were last seen, where the barn was, is something like 30 miles, I think.
Yeah.
So like, he does eventually get her home. The kids are already acting strange before they even leave the hospital. So this, like rubbing glass, staring at people strangely, hearing a baby crying, smacking glass, you know what I mean, to try to get it to stop crying. Can I go home now? And we get another glimpse of a demon over the dad's shoulder when they're speaking, when she's in bed trying to go to sleep, her first night home.
That one I caught.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one wasn't as quick as the Shudder one, because I never caught the Shudder one, and I watched it 3 times now.
3, yeah.
But that one, the one over his shoulder in the bedroom,
Was blatant.
yeah. But you got to be looking at the screen. If you're not doing that,
It's possible.
You won't see it. Yeah.
You drop your head to eat some chicken wings, you missed it.
No, I did one for that. I'm not eating one. I'm not eating any more for this fucking thing. That was a few minutes of hell. So do we know though that just before we get into the demon stuff, we are all aware that it is not Pazuzu in this movie?
We actually don't know.
I
don't think
wasn't.
We ever got the name.
I have it right here.
You have the name of the demon?
It's Lamashtu.
When the hell did they say that?
They don't, and that's the thing. That's another problem I have with this movie. And that's been confirmed by David Gordon Green that it is Lamashtu. And it turns out Lamashtu and Pazuzu didn't like each other very much.
Okay.
Because they're both actual demons. And if you look into it, it has something to do with mothers and babies. Like Lamashtu was a demon that tortured moms and their unborn children. Apparently, a lot of people are saying they're going to get into it more with Exorcist Deceiver, the sequel.
Ooh.
But yes, the demon in this is not Pazuzu. So either the demons like fucking talk to each other around the water cooler or whatever, because that demon specifically says it knows Ellen Burstyn's character, and it has absolutely no reason to.
And that's what makes you think it's
Pazuzu.
Yeah.
That is something I never understood and it's in the trailer when she walks in and says, "We've met before."
Exactly.
But they haven't.
But they haven't.
But there's no reason why anybody would think otherwise from the movie.
But like you said, Nicole, demons lie all the time. So
exactly,
he wants to fuck with her too.
Like,
so it says, "Yeah, I know you."
If you didn't find out offline about the name, would you still think it's Pazuzu?
I did up until I read that, and I only read that by accident because I was looking up something else.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Very misleading.
Actually, it was the faces, like the one behind the shoulder. I was like, do we see Pazuzu in Exorcist Believer?
It wasn't Pazuzu.
That's when I got the thing saying Pazuzu is not in Exorcist Believer. This is who is. And I went to do a deep dive on it. I'm like, holy fuck.
Why would they not
don't
tell us
explain this at all?
Nice.
Or names. Can a demon possess 2 people at the same time?
Sure.
Because if not, they really fucked up.
I mean, but again, it's like Lamashtu apparently was like mother and child, so maybe it is possible that it could possess 2 entities at once. I don't know.
I don't want to do too much research into that just because I freak out easily. But
well, I mean, there's claims, in written text that more than one demon can be in the same person. So I don't know why you couldn't have a demon possess more than one. But I don't know. It's a good question.
I'm fortunate, so I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Not in my house.
Yeah. So
I like this movie even less now.
Yeah. I think they do talk around the water cooler, if I'm being honest with you.
I got a visual of that when you said that, and I just
or they just got their fucking $80 suits and the clip-on ties
with their horns. Yeah.
Or they all get the same memos.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like they're all in the same email chains. Like
and the devil's walking around. Yeah. That would be great.
They got their fucking Monday morning meeting there where they got to talk about the shit they did all week.
Yeah.
Got like Ava Braun answering the phone.
Yeah. Pazuzu sent out his report. He didn't realize that he CC'd everybody on it when he sent it out. So
I'm
it's
just picturing Office Space with demons.
Look, Lamashtu, here's the thing. Pazuzu's numbers are way higher than yours. You got to start possessing multiple people at once if you even got a hope of catching up.
That's right. That's right.
This guy called me pal in an email.
Yeah, motherfucker. Piece of shit.
That's how you can tell he's a fucking demon.
So I sent him one back, called him buddy.
My dog needs out. I'll be right back.
God,
All right, man.
okay.
I'll kind of flow through this part a little bit because I feel like I'm spending too much time on this stuff. Dad's excited to have her back, makes her breakfast, finds out she peed to bed,
Yep.
tries to get her in a bath, but he goes to clean the sheets, comes back, he's like, oh, there's dirty water in the tub, finds like a broken fingernail at the edge of the tub. He's like, what the fuck's happening? You know, and he can't find her, walks around, she attacks him with her mother's scarf,
That was great.
like bangs his head off the
Bangs
freaking
the shit
bed,
out of him.
you
Like a
know.
spider monkey.
And she flies out of the room, slams the door, immediately goes into a seizure. Like he opens the door, that's what you see. She's like just flailing around on the ground. He has no choice but to take her to the hospital. I mean, like that's kind of what I like about this. Like there was a real linear flow to this. It seemed like every decision Dad made was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It may have felt a little bit slow, but like everything that happened made sense to me. And I probably would have made a similar choice. And of course, we see the flip side of this. You know, he's getting her help in a hospital. The other family's taking their daughter to church. And she's clearly not into it. Walks away at one point. They don't even realize she slipped away. Dad goes to look for her, finds that she fucked up all the communion stuff. And then like, I absolutely love that scene where that pastor is sitting there trying to stick to his sermon. And he's just watching this little girl like come up the aisle, like clearly
Covered in communion wine.
covered in communion wine. And she just like steps on what he's saying. Body of the blood. Body of the blood. You know what I mean? Just keep saying it over and over again until she's screaming it and the parents are freaking the fuck out. And they don't know what to do. So
They didn't even know she was gone.
yeah.
They left their other younger children in charge of her while they went and got their wafers or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what kind of denomination church that was, but I've never seen one operate like that, where they just walk around. Pastor walks around with the Christ Krispies, with the communion wafers, and like says some prayer directly to you, lets you pick it yourself. Like, don't they always give it to you? Or
maybe since COVID they can't do it.
Or you just pass the plate around. I mean, who goes to you individually? Every time I see a plate that looks like that, they want you to throw money in it.
Yeah. I don't understand any of it.
It says they're Baptists.
Okay, well maybe
Baptist?
it's true.
Okay. Well, it wasn't Catholic. He wasn't a priest.
No, they said they're Baptist.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
They were
So,
Catholic. They would have definitely been looking for money in those things.
Yeah.
And she would have been baptized. Yeah.
Yes.
Or christened or whatever they call it. And that one.
Yeah. But I mean, basically, they'll do a baptism anytime. So it did kind of make sense that their belief was, you know, to wait until she understood the impact of what she was doing. So anyhow, so they take some pictures of Angela in the hospital, and she's got cuts all over her legs, presumably from her own fingernails. And of course, we don't get to see the message right away, but we do get to see it in the following scene. Well, one of the following scenes, because the neighbor lady bitches about trash cans, just happens to be a nurse. And she's nursing for Angela. And Angela calls her Sister Mary Xavier. And then says something about her child. And she gets very freaked out, very upset. And not to mention, she starts bleeding through her bedclothes, which looks profuse. You know what I mean? That's a lot of blood. And I'm sure
coming from her between her legs, which is
right.
It wasn't from the cuts. It was,
exactly.
Is there monthly?
Yeah, maybe. That's a heavy flow, though.
I was gonna say that's more than a month.
Yeah, I'm gonna say she's.
I don't know.
That's
I don't
yearly.
get one. I just assume you guys bleed like a liter of blood.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
If that's the way
married.
it works,
How do you not know that?
If that's the way it works, they'd have
It's
to
not like
walk
I'm going
around
in
with
there
a
with a
catch pan.
Yeah, we would all be dead. Yeah.
And the average woman has 4.8 liters in her body. Like you can lose a quarter of that. Not a problem.
We can. I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you feel pretty shitty, but I
Not
mean, most
through
women
that,
on their
but,
periods do
yeah.
feel shitty. So
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was upset about that. She goes to see the dad, Victor. Tries to give him a book to read, and he immediately takes it, but he's like, yeah, I know what this is. Religious text is, and she tries to say something else to him, and he's like, you religious people are all the same, and he just goes off on this rant about, if it's good, it's it's God, if it's bad, it's demons or the devil, and he's like, I've been through all this shit before. He said, and the only thing that got me was watching my wife die, watching my daughter get cut out of her, and then he just trailed off with what he was going to say next. And she's like, in my mind, that makes your daughter a miracle. And he's like, yeah, well, I got to go check my miracle into a psychiatric unit. And she's like, before you slam the door, can you give me 1 minute? And still being the nice guy that he is, he's like, all right. So many other people have been like, fuck you, get out of my yard. You know what I mean? But like, he's like, all right. And she tells him what just happened to her. And that, and we do get some background on Catholicism. I believe that what she was saying is accurate, that when you transition from one life to a life that's devoted to the church, you do take a different name. Yes. And she backed out. And then she had a pregnancy that she did not go through with. And she's like, I never told anybody about that. Never told anybody my name, never used it. She's like, but your daughter knew it. So like, this is what puts him onto a different thinking path. And then he gives the book a try. And the book, of course, was the one written by Chris McNeil, who was the mom in the first movie. And
it was one of the less sucky parts of the movie for me.
I got you.
Like one of the few times they actually gave you a little backstory on something.
Yeah.
And
are we talking about are you talking about the disgraced nun or Ellen Burstyn?
The neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah. And you didn't care for Ellen Burstyn's part?
No.
I thought it was just a total waste.
I hated it.
That was one of the things that made me like this movie. I mean, I don't know how I can express this to people.
She never really witnessed Reagan's exorcism.
Right.
She got out of it.
Which she admits.
Yeah. She got out of it. She basically just did some research and wrote a book on other religions and exorcisms. And just made money off of that and became an old fucking rich bitch that just fucking drank bourbon all day.
Yeah. To be fair, though, she does. Sorry.
And then she somehow thinks that gives her now the authority to go, oh, now I could do this shit. No, you can't. So they made it's like Sally in the Texas Chainsaw. They built up when they were promoting this movie. Oh, how she's coming back. She's coming back. They built her up. She walks into the room and she dies. And she got stabbed. So it's like she did nothing.
But at least with Sally, there was the potential there because she at least was a fucking Texas Ranger.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm saying. They built her up, and I'm not upset that they killed her, but
it sucks.
I wanted to see at least more of a fight.
But Ellen Burstyn is in this movie for all of 15 minutes.
Exactly.
She spends 14 minutes explaining how she's not a fucking exorcist. And then she spends 1 minute trying to do an exorcism and gets her eyes fucking stabbed out. Because guess what? You're not a fucking exorcist.
That's what I don't know how to explain it, but that is absolutely what I love.
And you know what? Because I'm not an Exorcist.
That's what you love.
I'm not an Exorcist fan, but all the Exorcist fans out there, when they saw her, probably like, oh, something's like she's gonna save the day or something. No, they introduce her. They spend 10 minutes on her talking about all this shit, and like you said, she walks in and gets stabbed in it. She did nothing for this movie.
But Ellen Burstyn donated her entire paycheck to charities that she supported. So
yes, as a person, that's great. Her character
great.
For this movie did fucking dick.
Which is unfortunate because her character in the original is a mom going through some real shit and doing everything she can to save this daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, she's just...
Her daughter doesn't even talk to her.
I appreciate and I appreciate that. Like, you can tell she's hurting about that. I get, there is that she wants to help this girl because she wasn't able to do anything for her daughter. So
all the more reason why would you walk in there by yourself?
Yeah, it's literally like the freeway analogy again. Like, oh no, I've been hit by a car. Who could have seen this coming?
So yeah, she's
Nicole
an
doesn't like this.
she's an expert in research alone. And by this time, so many people turn to her for answers. I feel as though she's almost believing her own hype because she is taken up in that moment when she goes to see that child that's suffering and she feels like she can do something about it just to immediately find out she's wrong.
Nicole wants to call me pal right now. I can tell.
I am not going to call you pal. This is.
She's
this
gonna
is-
look like the little guy on the pack of Warheads candy.
I am actually not, because this is one of the very few negative things I have to say about this movie.
Oh shit! Okay.
Number one, when he's talking to her and he shows her the pictures of his daughter's stomach with the words "help me" carved in them, she's supposed to recognize it because Reagan had the same thing happen. It wasn't cuts, but it was just raised and it said "help me." When the babysitter went in there and it wasn't there, we saw it raise up on her stomach spelling "help me." She blatantly said, "I didn't show this to Chris because I didn't want her to worry." Chris never saw that on Reagan's stomach. Never saw it. And it was raised up, so I'm assuming it went back down again. So there were no scars. So how would she recognize the "help me" cuts in the pictures? She wouldn't have. Big fucking mistake.
Filled with
hate-
bullshit.
Yeah, that pissed me off. And I'm not really not trying to be nitpicky because I'm not a nitpicky kind of person, but that pissed me off. Secondly, her character, I love that they tried to bring her back. I loved that they wanted that connection with the original. And to see her in the trailer, I got so fucking excited. And then I saw
did too.
her in the
That's
movie.
that's what it was meant to do.
And I went to see it in the theater with my son. And we had just watched the original a couple days before we went just to refresh his memory. And when she walks into the house and she's at the bottom of the stairs and we see Catherine scurry across the top of the stairs, immediately my son leans into me and says they should have had her do the spider walk down the stairs. And that would have been fucking brilliant. And then, like you said, Chris goes up the stairs claiming she's not an exorcist. She never witnessed the exorcism. She just knows all the research. And then she goes in there and I command you to leave this child. Or
Right?
Team was
Like she's
Team was
trying.
like, what?
fucking joke. It was a joke.
Who
They
the fuck
got
are
her
you?
back. They got her back for this movie and they wasted her so badly. I
Such a wasted
hated
opportunity.
big wasted opportunity. They could have had her. First of all, as a mother, if your child, you go through something like that with your child, they're possessed, you bring in the priest, they both die. That's a huge fucking traumatic experience. I'm not going to research it. I want to get as far away from that shit as possible. I want to forget about it. I want my child to forget about it. I want her to live as normal of a life as she possibly can. And for her to do that, I would have to live a normal life too. I would not be releasing a book that would humiliate her and make her stop talking to me for 40 fucking years. I hated that they wasted her character like that. And then stabbing her in the eyes with the crucifix. I mean, was that an odd to the original when she's
Yeah. There's a crucifix in the original movie, right?
Christ.
Do you want to hear my fix for Ellen Burstyn? And
Yeah.
I think it would work 100 times better.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the nun character, the disgraced nun. Make it Ellen Burstyn. Make her the neighbor. Make her, don't have the nurse thing, whatever. But make her realize she can see what's going on, the father dealing with this, and she's picking up on the clues.
I agree.
Have her involve herself. Have her talk to him. I know what's going on. We need to get this. We need to get that. Get other people involved. Don't try to fucking do it yourself. Just like the nun does this. She tries to get, priests involved, that she reaches out and to the neighbors and everything to get the Haitian priestess there.
Mm-hmm.
Make that Ellen Burstyn's character.
I agree.
Make that Chris.
Agree.
So at the finale, we have Chris there with everybody else trying to save these girls. Do something for this girl that she could never do with her daughter, because she even mentions the priest wouldn't let her help.
Right.
And this is her opportunity to help. So now we have Ellen Burstyn throughout the movie. We have her character actually doing something that makes sense instead of explaining to us that she's not an exorcist for 14
make a
minutes
lot
and
more
then
sense.
get her eyes stabbed out.
Exactly. And
And
not
then-
have her be an expert on it, you know?
Yeah,
Have
and
her
then the
just
finale is so much more well deserved.
it is.
That when she reunites with spoilers for the end of the movie, but you know, she
Yeah.
reunites with Reagan.
Right.
That feels more earned now, especially if she's risking going to jail for helping with this exorcism.
Right.
And Reagan comes in to see her just to say, you know, Mom, everything's going to be okay. We'll get through this.
Right.
Why wasn't that? Why didn't they do that?
I don't know. And I thought like you
Because
said,
they
it's a
didn't
fucking
ask
waste.
you, Ryan.
Exactly. They need to go to the fans for this kind of stuff, you know. It just I hate she came, like you said, she came in for 15 minutes, gets her eyes stabbed out, and then we don't hear from her for another hour until the final, right before the credits. And
I got problems with that too.
it would have been great having her as a neighbor, because then she could have come in and said, "Hey, what was his name? I don't even remember his character name."
Victor?
Thank you. She would have been like, "Hey, Victor, you know, like, I'm seeing the signs. I haven't talked about this for 50 years, but here's what might be going on. I think I can help." You know, like you said, and it's just having her coming in like, I studied every culture, everything. It was just
And I get that
so fucking dumb.
I get that Ellen Burstyn's like 90, and you know she can't like to be in
Oh
a
yeah,
movie.
she can't do stunts or
but
nothing like that. But
the disgraced nun character, she wasn't in the movie any more than Ellen Burstyn was. It's just Ellen
No.
Burstyn was all in one chunk, whereas
Yeah.
the nun is like broken up through.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That's what I would have done.
Or even if they wanted to leave the nun in the movie, have like Ellen Burstyn talk to the nun and say, "Okay, look, this is what we got to do. We need help."
Right.
You know,
or just
as
have the
opposed
nun
to
as
just-
Ellen Burstyn's like.
Can you tell us
home
what you
care
went
worker.
through? Can you tell us what you experienced? And have her sit there, well, it was so long ago and I haven't talked about it. And that it would have made her more humble. And again, with you know, as a mother, you're not going to want to do something to bring attention to the fact that your kid was possessed. You want her to be normal. You want her to live a normal life and not have this tainted memory, you know, follow her for the rest of her life. You want to just you want to bury it and move on, you know?
And then you've got
the fact
that,
she didn't.
You could even have that introduce that parallel to the movie, and Ellen Burstyn could even talk about it with Victor. Like you can still have like the alienation between Ellen Burstyn and Reagan, like with Chris and Reagan. Like you could have it that she, you know, there was always that like the dad is overprotective with his daughter.
Right.
We could have that after Reagan got through the exorcism, Ellen Burstyn was just constantly helicopter pairing, hovering over Reagan for every little thing. And that's why they split apart, because Reagan was just feeling smothered by this overprotective mother, who of course is overprotective because her daughter was just fucking possessed.
Yeah.
And you can have that, like, don't make about this stupid fucking book.
I hated that.
Just have it that Chris was so overbearing on Reagan after this exorcism that it pushed Reagan away. And you've still got, everything is exactly the same. It's just now you've got Chris in a much more respectable position, because like this is fucking just as bad as Jamie Lee in Halloween Ends. This is zero respect to the character.
I agree 100%.
And how much of a douche did the dad Victor feel like after he brought her all the way there and she got stabbed in the eye?
The guilt, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, they were both single parents. They were both apparently very close to their children, and they didn't use any of that. They just made her stupid.
Yeah.
Kids are in the hospital. Where were we?
Yeah.
I think
help me on the
we just
stomach
got to
thing.
Ellen Burstyn.
We'll just say that we left off at her getting stabbed in the eyes. Because I feel like everything that happened between that has been covered.
Yes.
So like Sister Mary is trying to do work on her own to get things moving, to get an exorcism for this child. She talks to her priest about it. He tries to get an approval for an exorcism. He gets denied. So Victor goes to see Chris in the hospital, and she immediately forgives him, you know, for taking her to a place where her eyes get stabbed out.
Richard Bull, I would have been like, "You dick! Look what you did!"
That's right. That's right. You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
He was like, "No, it's fine. Don't worry."
I'm sorry. She deserved it for being that fucking stupid.
Yeah. They gave her these stupid looking glasses with like ribbons wrapped around her face. I mean,
yeah.
Anyhow, she basically tells him in a long-winded way, "Hey, you need more people. You know, it takes a village to do an exorcism.
Yep.
Spiritual strength in numbers, or
It
whatever the
takes
hell
an
she said."
exorcist to do an exorcism.
Yeah.
That should have been the tagline for the movie.
It is the power of the people. Strength in numbers. That's what she says.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but I mean, there is some thoughts on that. I mean, where people believe that you can tap into the same, collective consciousness if you all put your same energy into wanting the same thing, that you can achieve more goals. Whatever. Take that however you want. So Dad goes on a mission to recruit as many people as possible. He recruits Catherine's parents, recruits the priestess, the neighbor, the pastor, the priest. So the priest backs out last minute, hands his Bible to the failed sister, gives her a pep talk. And she goes in with some false confidence, thinking she's going to do something. And this is another one of those things where I feel like this movie just made me smile for so many reasons. It's just like the false confidence made me smile. The people believing that coincidence is somehow divine intervention. You know what I mean? Where they're using examples of things, and I'm like, that's a fucking coincidence. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not a clear, thing. Okay, you're the neighbor, and somebody put you there because you had to help them deal with this. It's like, I don't believe in all that. Sometimes there is being in the right place at the right time, and all the pieces seem to fall together. But this was a false sense of that, and this happens so much throughout this movie, which that's what made it so enjoyable to me, because I watched these folks fail at every turn, and they truly believed that everything they were doing was the right thing. That's why I liked it. But anyhow,
There's some kind of symbolism in there, but I'm not smart enough to pick up on it.
This exorcism went on forever.
Oh yeah. Oh, and they went all in, man. They bolted chairs to the floor.
It was so long. I was just like, what the fuck, man?
Well, to be fair, none of it was an actual exorcism.
No.
That's true.
Except for the 30 seconds that the priest walked in.
Tried.
That was fucking hilarious.
Pussy. Sorry.
And again, that was like one of those scenes where, he said no at first, and he came marching in there, and I'm sure so many people like, the Catholic priest came in, now it's gonna,
like, he's the savior.
and
Yeah, he comes in with his arms, and he's all like, "Oh, wait, what about Super Mario Brothers? Mario Kart 64."
Yeah.
And the demon was like, "Fucking hold my beer."
Yeah, hold on here.
Yeah.
I like how they faked him out, though. They were pretending that it was working, and then they just were like, "All right, we're done playing with this motherfucker."
Yeah, the demon's like, "Hey, you want to see a neat trick?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I said that the second that happened, I said, "There's probably so many Catholics that watch this right now, and they're like."
Yeah, I was laughing my ass off in the theater at that scene. I couldn't stop laughing. Because it was just the way it was like justice, like when they, like you said, like he fucking wussed out. He's in his car because of what the church might think or what the church might do to him. Never mind helping two children. So he just sat in the car for a couple hours, and then he came in and there was like choir music and blah, and that pissed me off. Like,
well, the father had to give him a little kick in the ass. He was like, "Hey," when he saw he was still sitting out there, he's like, "Fight's in there."
Yeah,
exactly.
I wrote that in my notes. I literally put, "Dad dumps water outside, reminds the priest he's a pussy."
Yeah. Yep. Away from the house to the east.
So
I wonder if the father felt about it. It felt like a douche about it. Every time the father brings somebody in, they fucking something bad happens.
Something bad happens to him.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't like this movie, but I do love the fact that the movie didn't cop out with the priest thing, because this priest was full of nothing but self-doubt throughout the entire time he is on camera. Mm-hmm. So for him to die immediately was fucking great.
I loved it.
Because he never believed in himself. Yeah. And of course, the demon is going to walk all over him. Kudos to the movie for that.
Absolutely. And it's not just that he didn't believe in himself. He came in and started the thing, and he started to get a little, what's the word? Not vain.
Cocky.
Prideful.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, is a sin. Like, yeah, and I'm doing it, and I'm helping these kids, and no, fucker, you're not.
Yeah.
You're hitting
Yeah.
the floor.
My issue here is, they were knocking the demon possessed kids were knocking them down one at a time like dominoes.
Yeah.
So they did away with the sister like right away. Just talk some
That
shit
pissed
on
me off
her,
too.
made her feel bad, and they're like, oh, let's try something else. So the priestess woman comes in with her
I
like
loved her.
bathtub holy water cocktail,
Oh, fuck, I loved her.
and like dumps of water on them in order to cleanse them, and they actually get some results. Some vapor like stuff comes out of these
Yeah,
kids'
that
mouths.
jewel fight.
Yeah. And then she lit something in the fire, blew some stuff on it. Next thing you know, the smoke's binding with it, and that gets whisked out of the room. It seems like that's having an effect.
Yeah.
But the moment the priest walks in, they chuck all that shit to the side and let him take over.
Yeah.
And that's where I took issue with it. We'd be like, no, thanks, Father. This seems to be doing something. Back off. Hang back for a minute.
Yeah. Go take your pussy ass back outside.
Yeah.
Because the Haitian priestess is the closest thing we have to an exorcist in this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And she seems to be doing a damn competent job of it.
And she's an actual doctor.
They dropped the ball with using her because she seemed like just one of the strongest people in the room.
Yeah.
We could have,
and you would get them she was definitely underused.
yeah, we could have had another serpent in the rainbow here. Like there was a lot of really interesting stuff we could have done with this.
Yeah.
But instead, like I said, we got a fucking jewel fight with like two different vapor clouds, and she spits in a fire.
Yeah, that's right. So, so they let the priest come in and start doing his chants and so forth, and he immediately does the thing. I don't know if you noticed. He immediately does the thing that he told the failed sister not to do. He told her not to get near them, and he touched both their heads.
Yep.
So, and it was at this point, even though they were acting like they had, they were being affected by what he was doing, they're like, gotcha, bitch. And like, they did the simultaneous head turn. But of course, being demons, they can turn their heads the whole way around. He can't. So like his only went so far before it freaking snapped. And I thought that was just awesome.
That was beautiful. That was the most beautiful scene in the whole movie. I loved it.
Like I said, I must have laughed for a solid 5 minutes after that happened.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it.
And that's what caused the whole situation to descend into chaos.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't cut you off there.
No, you're fine. You're fine. A couple of things about the whole exorcism. It bothered me when the nurse, who was not a nun, never became a nun. When everybody comes inside in the beginning and they realize the priest isn't coming, and she's like, I am a servant of God. I'm going to take over here. No, bitch, you're not. You're a nurse. You're not a nun.
Yeah.
You're a nurse.
Yeah.
Secondly, the Haitian priestess doctor was, they again with the wasted characters. They just wasted characters. She could have done so much. They could have done so much with her in this movie. When she was at the fireplace and she took a drink and she crouched down and spit it in the fire and the flames flew out. When she crouched down, the way she was like swaying back and forth a little bit, she was just so cool because she's like, I'm ready for this fight. Let's go, And then, like you said, they bring in the priest and they just chuck that out the window. Like nothing.
And she doesn't really do anything after that. Like once the priest
she
dies,
had nothing.
It all becomes this tug of war with the parents now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because his entrance in there effectively fucked up any momentum that they had, and his death freaked out everybody so hard that they weren't even able to focus on what they were trying to do. And that's when the demons took control of the situation and told them they had to make a choice between which child was going to make it.
Yeah.
Because even the demons were
started
getting
playing a
bored with this
game.
shit.
Yeah.
The demons like, all right, enough of this shit. Pick one and let's move on.
Yeah. They got him. He came in with being prideful, and they looked at him like a false prophet, and that was it.
So yeah, that's when possessed Angela kicks out the thing about how he had made the choice to save his wife and not the child. And they're telling him to choose again. One girl lives, one girl dies. And he's like, make the choice that you should have done, that you should have made then. Choose me. you know. And he's like, I can't choose. I won't choose. And they basically agree at that moment that they're not going to. So
because you have a perfectly competent Haitian priestess there who could
Mhm.
probably get you through this.
Mhm.
But the movie again just says fuck that.
yeah, but you know, when things get their worst, Dad basically tells her that he's sorry for all the things that he fucked up and that he really loves her. He begs her to come back to him, you know, and the demon's like, oh, this is going the wrong way. Better cause Catherine to get in the mix here. Catherine's like, what about me? I don't want to die. And then her dumbass dad's like, I chose you, Catherine. And
Twist though, the demon, the
Yeah.
name you said wasn't the one who lived.
right.
Mhm.
Right. And but that was like, I feel like they almost told you that was what was going to happen because of what happened with the father and the mother. He chose the mother, she died, and the child lived, you know.
Yeah.
And they said God played a trick on you,
Mhm.
and now you have to choose again. Like
But
they basically
Full
told him
circle.
they were going to do it.
Yeah.
I do think with this movie though, sorry, the so I think that Angela was meant to die. But because of that protection, again, the Harry Potter protection spell that was put on her at the beginning of the movie, I think that the demon realized it couldn't take her. So it switched over to, what's the other name of the other girl?
And, Catherine.
The one that does all the evil stuff in the movie, so you don't feel bad that Angela lives, and you're like, well, it's not like she stabbed somebody's eyes out with a crucifix.
Yeah.
Did
But-
anybody else feel like it was wasted that there was two girls being possessed?
No, I liked it.
But I just don't think Catherine was there just to do the really bad things.
Maybe.
Mhm.
No,
But I
she-
like that they
Angela
had two
more
of them.
likable. Like made you feel
That's
more
true.
bad for Angela. She
Yeah.
was likable. She
Yeah.
made her Angela feel more like a victim. You
Yeah.
start to not like Catherine.
Yeah. But it wasn't Catherine's fault that her parents sucked.
No, yeah.
No, Catherine's parents suck.
Yeah.
Father was a
Catherine's
douche anyway.
So yeah, dumbass dad made the choice. But I feel like Angela's father kind of got through a little bit because this is the scene where she's basically elevated up out of the chair, you
Mhm.
know, and I don't think it's the demon doing that. You know, it's her fighting back against its power because that's the moment that she like pukes up to the ceiling.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And tries to purge her body, and then collapses to the floor.
Mhm.
And it seems like she died because we hear the conveniently placed EKG in there go flatline.
Mhm. And we hear Catherine come back and talk to her parents.
Right, until she basically slumps over, and they're like, "What the fuck?" You know,
Yeah.
and we have the reversal. So I'll be honest, I didn't really like this ending. Feel like it was somewhat inventive. I think I understood the trick. I just didn't care for it. I would have been much more happy if they had used the priestess a little bit more effectively. And maybe if we got a little bit more background on her and maybe some folklore that they could have used in this.
She was a really interesting character.
Yeah. Like I know I joked about this in the chat when we were watching it, but I really feel like we could have used a nod to like most of us folks who attended Sunday school, you know, story we would have heard, you know, where Jesus casting the spirits out of, you know, a man who was plagued by demons into some pigs, and then they ran off and drowned themselves into a nearby body of water. You know, it's the Legion story. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Anyhow, I felt like it would have been cool to have some gimmick like that. We use the priestess woman a little bit more effectively, and she brings in something like that in order to pull the demons out and cast them into that. You know what I mean? Like they could have used a pig. I'd have been fine with it. It could have run off and drowned itself in the bathtub in her holy water. That would have been awesome. You know what I mean? Like I'd have been okay with that.
Demon bacon for everybody.
Yeah, and then it would have
That's kinda
gone full circle to the whole documentary bacon thing that we did at the beginning of the movie, and I would have been
Right.
Holy shit.
like, that makes sense now. So
They talked about bacon at the beginning of the movie. Holy fuck,
They
this guy's a genius.
that's right. So I think we can basically all admit that this is not a perfect movie, and I am interested to know how you might want to fix it.
As much as I didn't like the ending,
Mhm.
I thought the part where Catherine, where they show like her like wherever in hell, they show her actually where she goes, where the demon actually grabs her,
She gets dragged to hell, literally.
Mhm.
and
I'm,
that
No, go
demon
ahead, Mike.
actually looked like Mr. Boogie from Sinister.
I am glad you brought that up. That scene, that was in a better movie, that would have really fucked me up. Like, that is a gut punch
Yeah,
to see that poor girl. And you know what? The actress, whoever plays Catherine, like, I joked about how the fact she was a useless secondary possession. She fucking sells it in that scene. Like, the confusion, the
and
terror,
it's
whoa.
and like
I didn't
the
like that at
parents
all.
have no idea the hell
No.
she's in right now because all they see is her body, and
They assume
I
she went to
actually
heaven.
like that scene.
Well, I legit, like, because they showed like them grabbing her and dragging her, I was like, oh, so they're gonna bring her back, because this is obvious, like, this is too traumatic
No,
for it to be the end of her.
they went there.
Like, you don't show a child literally getting dragged into hell without bringing it back. But no, they didn't. She's fucking dead.
Yeah,
Like, that, kudos to that. If the rest of the movie had been on that level, I'd be much more impressed with
yeah.
this.
Well, I said that even in the chat. As much as I didn't like the movie, I thought both girls. I thought they killed it. I thought they did great.
Oh yeah, I have no issue with the acting of the two. Like, they were probably the best actors in the movie, next to the dad. The dad was pretty solid too.
And did you catch the fact that Linda Blair was actually brought on as an advisor to the actresses who were pretending to be possessed?
I read.
Oh
that
no, I
too.
didn't.
That's trash.
Yeah.
Michael.
That's trash.
All right, I have something to say about this ending.
All right.
I loved that they had two girls. I know you think one of them was it was wasted to have two. I loved that they had two. They disappeared together. They were looking at each other through the glass doors in the hospital when they were found. During the exorcism, I thought it was really smart and creepy that they had their hearts beating in sync. And then when the Haitian priestess starts to do her thing and he puts the scarf around her neck, we suddenly get two heartbeats. So we're like, okay, it's working. It's getting there. I think I love the fact that they had two girls in there. I really do.
That
I love
my biggest problem with this movie is, I've always said, I love a bad movie. I love a good movie. I love a bad movie. It's got to be fun. There is a much better movie here. And I don't know, like, I'm in Camp David Gordon Green. Realistically, even Halloween Ends, I don't hate Halloween Ends because of the story. I just find that David Gordon Green didn't go far enough with it. So I'm Camp David Gordon Green. After Halloween Ends, he just stopped giving a fuck. Because I mean, he's already said he's not doing the sequels now because of the reception to this one. So I don't know if it was studio interference. I don't know if he just let the fans get to him, but I just feel this is a movie where there's a guy somewhere that just stopped giving a shit. And it's unfortunate because I do think this movie could have been easily the best one next to the original, but it just drops the ball in too many instances.
I think it goes both ways. I agree with you that there's a lot more they could have done to make it better, especially with Ellen Burstyn. But I think if she had nothing to do with it, I look at this one the way I look at Halloween 3. If it was a separate movie and was not attached to the Exorcist franchise and just a basic possession movie, it would have been fantastic. If they did not have Ellen Burstyn in it and it was just, I think it's a great story to have two girls possessed at the same time. I love it. But they wasted her character so badly. And that was, I enjoyed this movie. I did. I enjoyed this movie a lot. It was creepy. I jumped, watching it multiple times. I'm catching shit I didn't catch before, which I love. It just, the fact that it's attached to the original, I think, is what took points off for me the most.
Well, you spend over $400 million getting the Exorcist franchise. You got to do something with it.
Yeah, and they dropped the ball with the wasted characters.
What did you think of the ending, Clint?
I would have liked if they had done something different. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but I don't know. I feel like redeeming thing to it was nailing home something I was already feeling about this movie, is that everything that they were doing was failing. Everything was a trick. In the end, they were unsuccessful. I feel that way about the original movie. The exorcism in that movie was technically unsuccessful because the priest did not get the demon out via exorcism. They basically just gave it another body to go into.
Yeah.
And that guy killed himself.
You yeeted that body down a flight of stairs.
That's right. And it's just like, this is, to me, this was just like a bunch of, arrogant people who thought that they knew what to do and understood things, and they basically fucked around and found out.
I like what they tried to do with bringing all religions together to work together and fight this thing. Like, you don't need someone who is specifically Catholic, and you don't need church approval. If you work together, you can do it. I like that message.
Yeah. And I agree that you don't really need the Catholic Church in order to do an exorcism, and I feel like they really nailed that home by twisting that priest's head around. And
I like that they brought in the sins, the pridefulness, and the false prophetness, and the father being so fucking selfish and choosing his daughter. And I liked, forgive me, I liked that they showed her getting dragged into hell. I really did. I think that takes.
Oh, it's a fantastic scene.
But it
takes balls to do that in a movie.
They make it like the father is a douche. He was a douche 99% of the movie. But that point, what father wouldn't choose their daughter?
No, exactly. But that brings in the trickery of the demons again.
Fault him for that. Because nobody's thinking, if you see your daughter in that condition and the demon, like, pick one. Yes, I'm sorry, and there's not one of us here would say, fuck the other kid, save my kid.
No, exactly.
Right?
He was stupid.
So
They're believing a demon.
Yeah, I don't fault him for trying to save his daughter. I mean, yes, he was stupid and he fell for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel the movie's saying something there too with the because with a lot of with religion, and forgive me here with my ignorance on this, because again, I'm not a very religious person, but I do feel there's that blind faith with, not blind, that's just the best term I can come up with right now, a blind faith with religion. Like, you have to trust that your savior, your Lord, your religion, your faith is what's going to bring you through this. And that's what I felt with that father in that moment. Like, he knew with choosing his daughter, he was making the right choice. His faith was going to pull them through this. And the demon used that to its advantage.
Yes.
Mike, the ending?
Like I said, the girl getting dragged to hell, those images were really cool. Like I said, it was like a half hour of my life to see nothing accomplished. Every time they did something, basically just nothing worked. So I was like, I wish something would have given, Definitely wish the Haitian priest would have done something. That's actually even in one of my trivias. Like, when I saw her, did you ever see the movie The Believers?
Mm-hmm.
With Martin Sheen?
Okay.
No.
It's the Santeria and stuff like that. That's the vibe I got with the Haitian priest. Like, you know what the problem is? In movies, everybody associates religion and exorcism with Catholicism.
Right.
And it's not. People don't realize that, they're if they're ghosts or paranormal or demon. And what if you're not Catholic, but everybody just goes to Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they brought in other stuff, even though they just didn't fucking use it. They were on the right track, but totally fucking dropped the ball.
Yeah. Any stats you want to throw at us, Mike? I think we're just about ready to rate this thing.
Basically, yeah. Only the budget was $30 million and box office made $136.2 million.
I'd call that a success.
So
they got my money.
Well, this is one of those movies the nostalgia sells, and it does for me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's movies, even if you know it's going to suck, whether you know or not, but even if you know without a doubt it's going to suck, if it's from a franchise you like, you're going to go see it and pay the money. And so I think that's what this, and by bringing in Ellen Bernstein, that was like a lock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were going to guarantee that some people were going to come see it just for her.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, even though she was misused, I feel like it was a good move.
100%.
Yeah. Well, okay. Where do we want to start?
Would you like me to go? Or would you like to get it off on a positive note first?
No, you can go.
Sure. I'll tell you what I did like.
Okay.
I did like the acting. I thought pretty much overall everybody. I don't think the acting was bad. The kids, I think, killed it. I think they did a great job. Makeup was great. Effects were great. There was nothing cheesy and nothing. I enjoyed that. There were, like I said, there was some imagery and some stuff that I really liked. That's pretty much it for the positive. I felt the movie dragged at the beginning. It dragged when the kids were missing. Then when the kids found, it dragged for a while when they were possessed. And then like you got to that point where they bring in Ellen Bernstein. You're like, oh, shit's going to change. 15 minutes later, she's fucking blind in the hospital. Nothing. So I got nothing from there. Then we go get the fucking Exorcist. And we gather all these people. And I was like, all right, it's going to get. And aside from like the priest and some cool stuff that happens there, it like went on for like hours. It felt like I was just like, fucking something fucking happened. Either this demon just needs to kill everybody or get the fuck out because it's wearing thin on me. I felt they had good characters. The Haitian priest, they like the Tom Arnold guy. I don't know what the fuck he was there for. I mean, like he should have just been hanging out with Roseanne somewhere because he was just there. He did nothing. The Baptist guy, another fucking waste. He just a few times he threw a few fucking words in there and he went back in the kitchen. Like I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
Like the Haitian priestess was the only one I felt like that was with her bathwater, with her magic bathwater, was trying to do something.
Yeah.
And like I said, then they brought
Magic bathwater.
Then they brought the Catholic priest in, and I'm sure every fucking Catholic watching this movie was like, "Oh, he's gonna save the day." No, he's not. He's fucking got his head twisted off like a fucking twisty top, and and like I said, I felt like the demon got as fed up as I was, and he was just like, "You know what? Are you tired of watching this?" I was like, "Because I am too." I was like, he's like, "All right, pick one of these kids." And you know what? I'm going to fuck you. Whatever you're going to pick, I'm going to take the other one. That was pretty much my synopsis. And then seeing fucking that crack whore Reagan at the end, which I can't stand. It was totally fucking unfucking. I was just like, oh, just when this movie didn't get any worse, I was like, go fuck yourself.
God damn.
Next.
Wow.
Next.
Did he rate it? Like what?
Did you?
I don't even know.
Yeah, give it a number.
2 out of 10.
Whoa. All right.
Called it.
Damn.
Go ahead.
All right. So I used a system similar to yours, Clint, for the
Okay.
first time. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It was an entertaining movie. It was a good possession movie. I liked it a lot. The acting was phenomenal. These kids were amazing. I still can't believe that was Jennifer Nettles playing Catherine's mother. That just cracked me up to no end because I've never seen her do anything but sing. The makeup and effects were fantastic. I agree with you guys that they completely wasted Ellen Burstyn. They completely wasted her. And when we saw her in the hospital, all blind, I immediately knew Linda Blair's going to come in the end. They're going to be reunited, blah, 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 blah. And Linda Blair was in it for, 2.4 seconds. I love the exorcism scene. I love the two girls. The production was great. My only issue was that they wasted the characters. They wasted the Haitian priestess. I love that they killed the priest. I got a lot of enjoyment out of that scene. And I got my final rating was 8.6 out of 10.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
And I only took off for the wasted characters.
Fucking legendary.
It was a fun movie. I jumped multiple times. The little flashes of the demons that you don't catch until the second or third time you watch it. I loved it.
Ryan, would you like to put a number on this movie?
Sure, Clint. I would love to. So I'm going to start by saying this discussion with you guys has actually increased my rating. There were some
failed big time.
There were some parts that I wasn't fully aware of. Nicole did a good job, and actually you did too, Clint, like explaining the character of the father and some of the choices he makes throughout the movie. That does help.
I fucking would.
So a lot of my arguments for this movie are very similar to Mike's. This movie fucking drags. Like, holy fuck. Like, in the original, and I know it's unfair to compare it to the original, but let's face it, it's a legacy sequel. We're going to compare it to the fucking original. By the 50-minute mark, we had Reagan twisting her head around. We had Ellen Burstyn flying against the wall, breaking her back in real life. We had masturbating with a crucifix. We had that fucking terrifying scene where I don't even know what they're doing. They're giving her MRI or a CT scan. This movie does not do a good job of conveying the demonic possession of these girls. I mean, Christ, I got a teenage daughter right now. Let me tell you, 90% of the shit they do, she does on a fucking Tuesday. Like, I just didn't feel the atmosphere wasn't there. The tension, the confusion wasn't there. I don't like that some of the most interesting characters of the movie were pushed away to the sidelines. Ellen Burstyn's character is fucking wasted in this. Nothing about this movie is remotely redeemable, with the exception of the performances of our leads, like the daughter, the dad, even what's her name? Catherine isn't terrible, despite the fact, like I said, I feel like she's just a character that exists solely so that we don't feel like Angela is the one responsible for all of this madness. Much like Halloween Ends, I feel this movie is more of a disappointment than anything else. It could have been so much more. Priest dying was fucking hilarious. I don't have a lot of good things to say about this. I have seen every Exorcist movie multiple times, and this is right down with Exorcist 2 for me. So originally I don't understand your rating system, Clint. I swear I have tried to understand it. I don't. Something out of 31, right? You take 31 points.
I have 30 points.
30 points.
But I just do the fraction. So whatever ratio of points that I awarded it, I just work that out as a percentage, and that percentage becomes my out of 10.
I did not do that.
Okay, that's fine.
So I walked into this with a 1 out of 10. And with the better understanding of the father character, I will notch it up a bit. But I'm with Mike. This is a 2 out of 10. This is easily the bottom of the barrel for Exorcist movies for me. And I don't even fucking like most of the Exorcist movies.
All right. Well, like I've stated in the past, exorcism movies are hit or miss with me. There's good ones, there's bad ones. And this one, of course, had a pretty significant bar to hit to try to equal the first one. That being said, I feel like a lot of good choices were made. And the end product, wasn't that bad from my perspective. I felt it was interesting. some good scene choices were made. I feel like money was spent in some good places. The sets look pretty awesome. If I'm being honest, we had
The
some
house?
good. Well, and like the hospital scenes and things like that.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I mean? And it was cool to see that little thing in the woods, even though I didn't understand why the hell it was there to begin with. And we got little explanation on that. The actors were good. I mean, I feel like I felt like it had decent pace. I mean, you can't help but have, slowness in an exorcism movie. I mean, there's nothing that I've ever seen, in this type of movie that's had a feverish pace that just kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time. There's a whole bunch of build up for, their attempt to exorcise a demon. I don't know. I didn't really notice much about the soundtrack, but I feel like it fit the film. They did in a couple of spots, do a little rework of the original music. I mean, I'm sure you noticed that.
Yes.
Yep.
I felt there were some good effects. And the sounds, like the voices that these girls were supposedly making, they were great.
Yeah.
I thought they were cool. I definitely feel like it was a memorable movie. I would probably watch it again. I would probably recommend it to a friend. I gave it an additional point for guilty pleasure. I just absolutely love the fact that all these pompous, pious asshole people who thought that they knew what they were doing just failed at every conceivable moment in this movie. And the only character that I actually kind of liked, Victor the dad, ended up in one small way being victorious and getting something good happen for him. So that got me to 20 out of 30 or 67%. I went 6.7 out of 10.
Wow.
Which maybe that feels a little high, but I'm satisfied with it.
Real quick, I know that we had discussed the masturbation scene in the original with the crucifix. Did y'all catch the masturbation scene in this one?
At the church.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they did kind of bring that in. Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, she's jacking it in the church.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
In the church.
Yeah.
Love your terminology.
It's still only getting a 2 out of 10.
She was rubbing one out for Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So,
Right, but Jack in the Box? How about Jack in the Church?
Jack in the box.
Oh
Jack in the
my
church.
God.
well, that feels like an incredibly appropriate thing to end on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, basically not an agreement amongst us other than Ryan and Mike agreeing about how bad they thought this was. So I say, go out and watch this movie yourself. Form your own opinion of it. Hopefully this will give you some things to think about.
And for the people that love this, we got an early release of this because of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert filming. Supposed to come out on the 13th, but we got this on the 6th because they didn't
knew
want
they
to
weren't gonna
compete. They knew they couldn't compete with Taylor Swift.
That's amazing.
And it says here, I don't know if you Exorcist OG people would have noticed this. At the beginning of the movie, a small sculpted creature can be seen in Angela's room. This is the same creature that Reagan was drawing in the first movie. I have no idea. I have no recollection. So
I'm going to have to go back and watch it because I remember saying when he was talking to Chris in her house and she had all the old pictures of Reagan hanging up in a little wind chime type thing. I said to myself, wouldn't it have been great if they had that orange bird thing that she made that Chris said, oh, we got to put it over here so it can dry. If they had that in her house.
Well, apparently it's in Angela's room.
It's in Angela's room.
Hmm.
Oh, I got to go back and I got to watch it again.
And they mention about the Edgar Allan Poe. They mention about Ellen Bernstein donating her salary to a scholarship at Pace University, which
Awesome.
is 5 minutes from me. And the last thing they said, they compared us to the movie Believers from '87, because when they were, especially the Haitian priestess, before the exorcism, when she's preparing the house, which is the same thing that the nanny, who was, I believe, Haitian in that movie, The Believers, was doing to prepare for that sort of whatever ritual they were doing.
I got to watch that again. I haven't seen that in decades.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Never until tonight, I didn't even know it existed.
It's
I saw it in the theater.
It's voodoo.
Yeah. Kind of like a serpent in the rainbow type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Martin Sheen plays a good role.
Yep. He always does, though.
Well, hey, I thank you all for getting together tonight to talk about this thing. I knew that we would have some conflicting opinions about it. I thank you to anybody who's watching this right now, and I hope that you'll continue to do that. So, on behalf of myself, Mike, Nicole, and Ryan, all I have to say is remember.
Smile, you son of a...